Our Tennessee State Standard is to apply the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance between 2 points in a coordinate system. Your lesson objective that you need to write down: I can find the distance between 2 points on the coordinate plane. All right, so without counting, how can you find the distance between the 2 red points on the number line above? Think about that. We don't want to count. We want the quickest way to find that distance. And the quickest way to do that would be to subtract, to find the difference between the two numbers of the dots. So 4 minus -3 is equal to 7. Now, since this is a horizontal number line, do these points represent x coordinates or y coordinates? You need to write the answer to that down on your notes. Now let's look at a vertical number line. In the same way, without counting, how can you find the distance between the 2 red points on the number line at the left? And in the same way, we can, if I can find it, find the difference between the two numbers. And it doesn't matter which number that you start with. -2 minus 3 equals -5. Now, since we're looking for distance, it would be 5 units, since distance cannot be negative. So even though our answer was -5, the distance is 5 because distance cannot be negative. And since this is a horizontal, it's not horizontal. It is vertical number line. Do the points represent x coordinates or y coordinates? And you will also need to change this on your notes if I don't have it changed already. All right, now let's put the two number lines together and look at a line segment. And here we have a line segment, and let's look at the points of that line segment. This one would be 2, 2, and this one is 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. All right, so let's create a triangle with this segment being the hypotenuse. And the way I'm going to do that, I will draw a horizontal line and a vertical line. And that makes our right triangle. Now, we can use the Pythagorean theorem and we can count these sides. So we'll say A is this side, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll say B is this side, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So to find the length of that hypotenuse, we can do 4 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared. And we know 16 plus 25, because we know 4 squared and we know 5 squared. And if we add these together, we get 41 equals c squared. And if we take the square root of 41, we get 6 point something. I'm going to pull out my handy dandy calculator. And that gives us 6.4. Now, we could also think back, since this is a horizontal line and it reflects our change in value of our x, we could do 7 minus 2, which gives us 5. And then our vertical segment is reflected by y. 6 minus 2 equals 4. So we could also do it that way without drawing a triangle, and we're going to see that here. All right, so here's 3 different ways that you can find distance between 2 points. We have coordinates x1, y1, and x2, y2. This distance formula, d equals the square 1 of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, is what you would see if they give you a formula on the 10 Ready test. It is the same thing as this x2, this one, because this is just lining them up and subtracting straight down to find a and b, which is the same thing that you did up here, a and b, and using the coordinates, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Then if you have a graph, you can also, if you're given this segment, you can draw your vertical and your horizontal legs and use the Pythagorean theorem to find that. Either of these methods will work. Sometimes, however, you will not be given a graph. So sometimes it's easier just to use the coordinates. All right, find the distance between G, -3, 1, and H, 2, -4. Round to the nearest tenth if necessary. Okay, does not matter which X you start with. We'll just start with this one. -3 minus 2 squared plus, and it doesn't matter which one of those you start with, 1 minus -4, which makes it 1 plus 4 squared. So now we have D equals -5 squared plus 5 squared. -5 squared is 25 because -5 times -5 is 25. So 5 squared is 25. So D equals the square root of 50. D equals 7.1. Now I'm going to show you with the up and down or the vertical method. It's the same thing. So we're going to start with x2, y2. So that's 2, -4 minus -3, 1. 2 minus -3 is the same as 2 plus 3. -4 minus 1 is the same thing as -5. So this becomes your A and your B. 5 squared plus -5 squared equals C squared. And you can see we have the same thing set up, except for that we're going to take the square root at the end. So 25 plus 25 equals C squared. We take the square root of both of those. So the square root of 50 equals C. C equals 7.1. And yes, I do expect to see all of this work. One or the other method. All right, so we can also graph that. So -3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That would be G. And 2, -4. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be H. And if we connect our points, we have our hypotenuse. So I can draw horizontal, draw vertical, and now I can count my sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A equals 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. B equals 5. So 5 squared plus 5 squared equals C squared. And you can see it's the same thing that we did just with the coordinates. 50 equals C squared, so C equals 7.1. All right, so these, we'll work them out. And I'm going to use the vertical method. So 2 minus 5 is -3. 0 minus -4 is 4. So I have -3 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. 9 plus 16 equals C squared. 25 equals C squared. So C equals 5. Let's draw that. 2, 0 would be here. 5, -4 would be there. So you can see if we draw our triangle, we have 1, 2, 3 for our 3 squared, and 1, 2, 3, 4 for our 4 squared. All right, let's do this. -2, 4. We subtract 1 minus -2 is 3. 3 minus 4 is -1. So we have 3 squared plus negative 1 squared equals c squared. 9 plus 1 equals c squared. C squared equals 10. So c equals 3.2. And I'm not going to draw that one out. 2, negative 1. We subtract negative 3 minus 2 equals negative 5. Negative 4 minus negative 1 is negative 3. So we have negative 5 squared plus negative 3 squared equals c squared. 25 plus 9 equals c squared. 34 equals c squared. So c equals try that again. 5.8. And if you will notice, since every one of these sides ends up being a positive number when we square it, you can actually make these positive. And it will be the same thing because negative 5 squared is the same thing as positive 5 squared. So once you get to that point, you can make those positive if it makes it easier for you. So our Tennessee State Standard was to apply the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance between 2 points in a coordinate system. And your lesson objective was to find the distance between 2 points on the coordinate plane. And that is the end of the lesson. I'm so glad to be back and see you all today. I'll see you tomorrow.